I've got Frank here. He's kind of propped in the same way. Really common with low toe kiddos to have the head down here. Now, you know, you might want to watch me on this one or just make a variations that you're doing from the rear with her head.
Okay.
But I'm going to go with the head on, assisting with the head. Now, obviously, I'm not going to grab Frank by the face here. And I just nicely go underneath his head. People don't realize that when I work with the head, literally, I'm still keeping that pizza hand. So his head floats into my hand. I'm not grabbing in any way, nor am I making my hand strong. All my strength comes from here, you know, underneath myself and my system, not from my hand.
So from this position, if they're kicking, how do you control their legs to the ground?
You know what? Sometimes it's okay that the legs don't always hit the ground.
Oh, really?
One of the things that I keep trying to teach is, again, that transfer of weight. And this is where she's on with the ball. So I'm going to work on showing off of the elbow to the hand and then transfer to come up to look.
Okay.
And then transfer back. So she's on that ball doing that same thing. But the ball, because it's fluid, will let that transfer happen a bit differently than, let's say, if she was laying on a pillow. Because a pillow is going to create a friction that's not going to be the same when you've got that air mass or whatever, you know, rubber ball that you're doing.
So should I be supporting like her pelvis a little bit with my body, or
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. As much as you can use of your body, or coming around underneath her, her one arm in that position, just to support the head. But what you have to commit to in that position is going to the right side or the left. So if her head right now is dominantly looking towards the one side, then you want to be on that other side. So you're scooping underneath, and you're going to be holding the head from this position, where I'm holding it from this position here, front
I should
on.
be holding from this position?
Right where you're doing, but I would go underneath her arm.
Oh yes, always go underneath her arm. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Like that?
Right.
Okay.
So again, I can show you from both sides, but I'm just figuring it was best to go this side. And this is something like you can be working on, the two of you, where someone's holding her tush from behind where you're sitting in front of her. And since she's your daughter, you literally can be like this and doing kisses and stuff like that. I won't be as intimate with Frank at the moment, but... So again, it's the transfer of weight, but also now what makes this complex is the transfer from head to elbow. So what I'm going to be doing here is literally just lightly bringing Frank up, but enough to just bend the top part of his spine so he feels that chest start to transfer. And I want him to not roll onto the elbow, but just know he's going towards that elbow.
I see.
So, but I'm not touching the elbow down, making this stiff. I'm in here rounding. Now in her position, because she's a little one, you can literally take the whole forearm and do that. It doesn't necessarily just have to be right in the joint of the elbow.
Okay.
But see, even just from that, Frank's already responding, and he's hitting the surface differently on the prop that I'm giving him. So yeah, in your position too, you can be there with that shoulder, and as just like I can, and rolling it back. So see how that, by rolling that arm, it gives the head someplace to go.
So should the head be tilting a certain way, or just up, around?
Right now she looks pretty comfortable. It all depends on yeah, there she's starting to support her head more though.
Yeah.
It all, like I said, it depends. If he was active, I might have to go tag team. But right now, since he's pretty compliant with what I want him to do, I can just work on that whole, see where he's coming over to look at what he's doing with his hand.
I see. Okay.
But when he's doing that, the more he comes over, the more I want to affect where he's rolling onto that elbow.
I see.
Versus this. See, then he collapses. If the elbow goes off, I'm looking for him to stand on the elbow. But to do that, he has to learn how to transfer his weight over to this side.
Okay.
And then
So
if you
the back and the spine be doing, it should be rotating in the same way, or
what the back and stuff is going to start doing, this is where it's fun with the iPad. The back is actually going to start twisting. It should start twisting up through the whole upper cavity and coming over.
say that again, twisting over
The elbow.
the elbow. Okay.
Now in her case, your trajectory is really more over her wrist for where the head should be.
That's where it should be going?
Yeah, because I think if you're going all the way over to her elbow, you're really going to be twisting her out. So even though your intention is at the elbow or on the forearm and where the head is, but see how even with Frank he's going over his hand? This will be more difficult right now for where you're at, okay? So I would right now stick to going to the direction of where she's over her hand.
Okay.
And again, this is where you can change your prop a little bit. So same thing over the hand. Now I'm bringing the whole forearm where it's more on the pillow. If you feel the hands going well, then you can sit here with two hands and bring over and just see how the arm responds. But what you never want to do is come over here and start bringing the arm up. That's just going to be too much on her gravity. If the arm's up, she's got no support other than the head. She's doing really well with that. And this is where you might have too, where someone's more in the front doing vision work with her or playing with something, so she's got something to attain to. Now, how does her back feel with all of that? Do you feel her engaging her back?
It's not curved. It's pretty neutral right now.
Okay.
So it's not look like it doesn't seem like she's really engaged, but she's not kind of.
Now to engage her more, let me go around then. Change my.
Oh, she's engaging it now. When she
Cut.
lifts her head more.
What?
She just lifted her head more and engaged her back.
Okay. What you can do with that there, coming up underneath again the head like you're doing, hand on tush on her pelvis. So you're going to twist through and bring up that line drive. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
This is where I'm not going to last too long in this position. I tell you, for the most part, I don't stand over my clients, so this is where my body goes, yeah, I don't think so.
So you're coming in, you're pushing on.
See, in this position, if you want to go back to this position here, you can go, still my hands underneath Frank's face. I'm on the back end of the pelvis. So as, again, that little lift and look towards her right hand, you're twisting back on the left pelvis. I mean, the right pelvis towards the left.
Right pelvis.
Sorry. When I say right pelvis, on her, it's her. Yeah, it is her right pelvis. I get all confused when they're upside down and backwards. But the tush that's closest, yeah, on that side.
Yeah.
Put your hand on her tush, yeah, and bring it towards you on that side.
Oh, okay, I see.
There. So you're going for the lift of the head, not the twist of the head. Just lift her. Don't have her where she's just there.
But twisting the pelvis.
Twisting the pelvis. And by doing that, you should feel her back start to engage a bit more in her mid-back.
A little bit.
And then just do that for a bit. Now with Frank, because he's got head control, I can do this coming under his chest as well. But when I lift the chest, even the head, it's still, again, I'm always doing some kind of rotation. So I'm lifting his shoulder up, but I'm twisting the chest down when I do something like that. When I'm holding the head, same thing. I'm on the jaw, and I lift and rotate.
Okay. So you're rotating the head sort of in an upward motion?
Up, but down. See how the thumb's going up under the ear, but down to look.
I see.
See, that's one thing that, again, with most kids with special needs, you don't see any kind of cocking or tilting of the head. The head wants to stay very left-right versus that tilting. When I tilt, my ear goes up, but my chin goes down. And those are those relationship of ear-nose, again, that she's not used to. They're more used to this versus, and that's why, again, you don't see kids with special needs, autism and stuff with social skills. Huh? What? You know what I mean? That shy look.
So I can tilt the pelvis the other way too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Just whatever direction.
Not whatever direction. As she's moving her head to the opposite direction, then you counter. You show her that counter. Because again, same counter, I'm unstable. Same counter, that's a boat in a violent water. You want that counter, see? Much more stable on the head. That's crawling, that's walking.
So as she's this way, I'm going towards
Correct.
the right. Okay.
Right.
With her pelvis. Ah, I see.
And that's when hopefully her brain also says, oh. So if I were to wrap around Frank like this, again, same thing. I can tilt this way while he tilts that way, and vice versa. I can really tilt myself like I'm going for a ride or I'm riding a bicycle. Same thing, that counterbalance you want to come into play. And then I can come with him too, and as he's looking, again, and I can counter around. It's not as obvious with him because I can't grab him with the girth. This is where sometimes too you see me stick my knee into their pelvis too.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So I have a bit more control over that.
Oh, that's much better. So she's sitting on my knee a little bit, right?
Right.
Okay.
But that sit of the knee, you can feel much more as her spine starts to go. Yeah. But see, her brain's already going, I remember this one.
Yeah. But with the chest, I'm going with her, correct?
Right. But that's where your knee can oppose it. Well, he's still a little knock-kneed, but this is the whole nice thing, what people talk about with the hippotherapy and all of that sort of things, right? When you're with someone, you have the opportunity to move your knee in and out. What this does is it creates that counterbalance for the pelvis. Now, unfortunately, he's being knock-kneed about it, but what that does is it gives the opportunities for that hip joints to move in a way that they're not used to. But also what I like is what we were doing yesterday, is you take the chest and they can just sit up. And then you can round, you know what I mean? And then bring that sitting up. Now I can come underneath the hand, so if he's working on getting to that light switch, I can very easily still work on arm and hand function, but see his chest still counters and my knee counters. I'm not doing same. See how he loses his total stabilization and now there's no counterbalance? He would normally fall here. What I do is hand lifts up, see, and my knee comes to that opposing lift. So again, if his hand were to come up the other way, see how I'm opposing this? And this is what keeps his spine curved and functioning in a straight manner, instead of me doing again this.
Got it.
And this. Now look at how top heavy he is.
Yeah.
And you get much more of that flopping. This little knee action here, boop, 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 great. You can do it where they're totally sitting across your lap, you know, kind of thing. Now with her, she's tiny, I wouldn't, but, and again, see, I'm the one tilting my whole pelvis, so his pelvis twists. But I have to move a heck of a lot just for him to get his groove on. But again, same, he's completely unstable. Now, I'm not saying that position doesn't exist, but if he doesn't have the proprioceptive responses, we're dealing with a whole nother animal. That's where, again, I can take my props, put his elbow here, let's say on the pillow. Now, I'm going to go on the pillow as well, and I can start working here where he's working on the extension of the lower back. But see how now the chest cavity is curving up to keep his horizon.
Yeah.
So see here how I can work my counterbalance to get Frank his. So see how he's learning how to twist or rotate the chest cavity just to come on his elbow. I'm not looking for this. And again, I'm not saying this move can't exist, but this is much more high balance. He also has much more momentum and has to catch it. But if he learns to just swivel, you know, it's a much easier movement on his vestibular system.
I see.
And yeah, you can do the ball high, you can do the ball low, you can do it over, you can do lots of different points of interest. Hand up, hand down, no hand involved. What?
When you say pelvis and chest are countering, you mean they're almost coming together, right?
Right. Well, if you look, the whole chest cavity is horizontal with the vertical, right?
Yeah.
Same with the nasal cavity. You'll have the horizontal. Same with the scales or what's going on in the shoulder girdle. You see the horizontal qualities right in the hinge of the elbow. So in a typical person, no matter how I move, my elbow hinge should stay almost horizontal to the floor. If this hinge goes off, see how here I'm in a fall. Do you see that? How I'm tilting my elbow, but if my elbow goes here, then I'm still looking for my horizon.
I see.
Okay? But kids with special needs, that's a quality that they lose. They're like here, they're here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I believe that these are balance points in the human body that aren't looked at appropriately in the vestibular system. You know, that's where I look at the real nitty-gritty. So again, you've got a vertical and horizontal system here with the chest cavity. So if that goes askew this way, he's going down.
Yeah.
Right? But if that horizontal quality stays there, see, he's just going for a nice lean. He's just being like Cary Grant.
Right.
You see the difference?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying this isn't appropriate. If he was going for a somersault, he'd have to do all these things. But look at the momentum of the head. So you need to have that equal momentum in the pelvis to counter that head to go into a somersault. And that's where I talk about the acceleration through the pelvis. If you've got a child that their pelvis is slow to respond, or again, that system doesn't want to synchronize, you can't have a fast head and a slow butt.
Yeah.
If you do, you're falling. That's a fall. And that doesn't matter if you're a high-end athlete or if you do have special needs. But I'm just saying, with this movement, if you think of what your knees and your pelvis are doing to, again, give that, where that mid-spine is getting all that action as it's countering to the pelvis, versus, again, same. Everything's tilting to the right, I'm tilting to the left. Now I'm super top-heavy. I have so much more skills that I have to do to protect myself. But again, until you start feeling the qualities of movement instead of trying to get certain things to happen.
Right.
But like I said, as time passes and you just get better at it. So now with this, see, now if I want her to go over to the ball successfully, now you can start right where the ball is with her up higher, but I'm going to switch my hands out. See how now my head is against Frank, right? People would normally wouldn't see it. It's not out here.
Yep.
It's up here, I'm hugging, and now I'm rotating, so I'm switching my hug. See how he's going over to the elbow, I'm right in behind. And see now he can go right here very successfully over onto that ball.
I see.
And now to get up, I'm under the arm. I could be holding the head if I need to. The head is going to tuck and bring in. I'm rotating that chest cavity and slowly bringing him up into my lap. So again, my head is now on this side. If I'm doing it, I'm taking the head where his eyes are going down, looking at it. The chest cavity rolls over. I'm right here with my arm, and I can bring, he didn't do that too smoothly, but over onto all fours. Now, if I want it completely on all fours, he's still on my leg. I'm right here on the tush, and I can start rotating, bringing him over onto all fours.
Okay. Can you do that sequence once more?
Oh, no problem. So again, coming off the ball, I'm here, I've got his head wrapped around me.
Yep.
Twisting the chest, putting the pelvis into the pelvis twists around on my knee, and then he's sitting up.
Okay.
So at this point I can decide which side of the head I want to be on, but if I'm on this side of the head, then my arm is going to be, the arm that my head is on is going to be up the highest. A lot like karate, like if I was doing a downward chop type thing, right? But if I was on this side, this would be where my block would be from. So
Okay.
same, right? So if I'm on this side, again, I'm under the arms. If I'm over the arms, that rotation has no place to go, and that person's going to be stuck. So I'm here, I go down on the ball, I've got the head, rotate through the chest, and he can come all over. See how I'm still hugging Frank? So I'm still here, I'm behind the pelvis. Now at this point, I can go behind the pelvis, twisting right through the tailbone, and he's going up into all fours.
I see. Okay.
So same thing now, he's coming towards my lap or into my lap. I switch depending on which side my head's going to be on. Again, that karate or judo, however people look at it. So I'm on this side, so my hand is up. And again, rotating his chest cavity, rotating the pelvis where he's sitting onto my lap. But the ball is still right here, so it's all there. But again, he's got this bony-ass tailbone. Sorry.
That is awesome. Okay.
So in this position, too,
Uh-huh.
again, I'm going to spread him.
Okay.
This is where if he had guts,
Uh-huh.
again against me, but with the pelvic bowl, and I can start working on just tilting his pelvis back into me. I'm rotating the chest cavity down so the back is swaying against into my spine,
Okay.
and then I can rotate this hand away to the round to the back of the back, and that's where as I breathe or chest out, I bring up so he can breathe chest out and has a spine support. Again, now I'm going to wrap around in front of his abs and then bring him back in close to me.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And the chest should feel like a butterfly, like you're going to want that chest to rotate, or like a pigeon puffing out or coming back in. I like to say Spanish men. You see old Spanish men and they have this little pigeon chest. It's all puffed up and they tuck and they have this all this. But you want the chest to collapse going in and coming back up.
Okay.
But again, with something like this now, if my head's here and just working with the lap, I don't have to be the same here. Because if I do that, it's going to bring, they might feel a little claustrophobic. This is here where I might allow where the chest can spread. I'm behind almost more so the mastoid process or the back of the skull. But then I can tilt the head down as they come in. But when I do that, you want to, again, bring that chest so the back is swaying to catch that head. So see, when I do that, the head still stays vertical,
I see.
right?
Oh, okay.
But if the chest is out here and I do that, see, that's a fall. And that's what I too, like this sit-up, this is CP. And this is where I hate that parents do. The kids got CP, they're back here, and they go like this to bring them up. Well, if I'm back here with my head like this, for me to sit up needs god-awful muscles. What I want is my head to come more to vertical.
Okay.
I go right where the solar plexus is, not up chest cavity, but solar plexus. Scoop, see how that head is up, right? And then I come into a sitting. Okay? Or again, my head's right there, I'm behind the mastoid process, scoop, and then I bring him into sitting.
Got it. Okay.
But nowhere there is a vestibular challenged, but it's successful. As they get better with that, I can scoop down here. Now I won't be able to do this with Frank as easy because he's got a rhodopus. You know what I mean? And I work on the pelvic tilt. Another thing is similar that we were doing yesterday, but Frank, I can only go to his knees, where I would grab the knee, chest maybe is stable against my head, and I can tilt. Now the knee isn't as important going down, but coming up, pressure into the knee so he can feel that pelvic tilt, and see that tilts the sit bones.
Yeah.
So you just felt that. That's the next big step for her. See, there she goes, and she's coming over her sit bone.
Oh my goodness. She feels completely different.
Right.
I'm excited to do the same sitting exercises on YouTube with her new spine.
Well, that's the whole thing. People go, well, I watched that already. Yeah, but you've changed, you know? Do it again. It's a different awareness for you and for her.
Yeah. This is awesome.
And then that's where, again, Frank's big, but sort of what we were doing yesterday. Now, with Frank, since he's big, now obviously, you know, if he was a grown adult, I wouldn't be going like this because of the sexes, but I just want you to see that type of force of, see, here's his sit bones, right? And coming up and over those sit bones.
Yeah.
See, this is where he's a skeletal system. See, and then that's him sitting tall. And then again, I can be underneath here for a baby. I can't play that well with a full-grown person, but again, I want to sort of pull back through the iliac, the top, and again, that roundness at the back, that slouching, and again, where you're, that sit bone and coming over the sit bone is there on the system.
I see.
Now, if I'm on the sit bones, now this is where too, now I can tilt my leg, and I can start going right into the trochanter, and then start playing with that. See, that would be rotating, knee going down to the floor, and this is the beginnings of a kneeling. And then coming up, rotating back up. See that? And then that would be, that's where when people go, oh, my baby can stand up in the crib, but they can't get down, they can't fall up. And I'm like, because they pulled themselves into standing. They didn't stand up through the feet. So now, because they haven't learned this pelvic tilt, because this should be going up and then going down. But see where the sit bone needs to be, directly under the sit bone to get this kind of action. If the sit bone's back here, just see how I can't work on the mechanics of the hip in the same way. And that's what people don't understand. So when someone's sitting like this, well, I can't work on toe kneeling with me. So how is your kid with CP or whatever, or arthrogryposis going to do it? You really have to look at the mechanics of the system. Now, if they can't tilt their pelvis here, that's where you want to go back to working on the sit bone, and then eventually where they're coming over the sit bone. Now, in this position, maybe I have to be right on the edge of a chair, but that's what's nice about working on your pelvis. So see, in this position, for Frank to come over his sit bones is a little bit more difficult. This is where I might go to just one knee here holding him, where I can work on that rotation. Or I can hold the knee here like this. Yeah, this is where he's going to collapse. Okay, I'm on the sit bones. I'm underneath his knee. And this is where I can work, see? And then I can push back into me. Do you feel that?
Yeah.
And see, the knee can come high, but then pushing down into the pelvis, and then coming back around.
I see. Okay.
I'm not holding Frank too proper, but it's more to show the sit bones
Got it.
being in a stand.
Oh, this is awesome.
So in this position, when you feel that that they're more in the sit bone too, that's where you can go back and just do these subtle little counterbalances. I'm just pushing into the iliac and then into the chest. But again, watch that it's not top heavy. You want that curve in the spine. Same momentum of my touch, but one touch, see, I'm squeezing together, that's what I want. So you get that counterbalance between the pelvis into the chest cavity, not right, right, left, left. That's too top heavy. You see the difference?
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to get the more and more head control that she's getting.
Yeah, she looks so good.
And then eventually you'll come from behind. So that force now maybe will be pelvis out, but his chest is going towards my chest. And then where his chest can come out, and I might pull the pelvis down towards my abdomen. So he's starting to learn how to be more free and independent with the head that way.
Got it.
But you're still looking for that stabilization or that counterbalance versus, again, I'm not looking for this.
Yeah.
Way too much momentum, and now they have to deal with the momentum and the acceleration and all that in their relationship to gravity. However, if they do come forward like this, I go right after that spine, right here into the back of the pelvis. I'm going to be over dramatic. I rotate hard force, but when I say hard, you know, it's not like I'm pushing down bricks. But I'm bent over, hard force, rotate in, rotate chest cavity and save it and bring it back.
I see. Okay.
Versus what a lot of people do is this and pull back.
Yeah.
I'm not learning any kind of counterbalance through that function of the pelvis.
I see.
Okay? Now this force would be really big if you had a runner and they're going in for that sprinting function, or a football player, you know what I mean? They have to learn that momentum of the pelvis coming in. But that's a karate thing. That's a front stance. That's where my front stance should be in karate, not back, you know, here.
Got it.
Here I don't have power, but here I do.
Yes.
And also when I'm here, see, he's on his sit bone, that's where he's in neutral. So if he wants to go and get up, he can. But if he's here, the pelvis is back, rounded, he's got to correct the pelvis first before he can go do something else.
Okay. But the pelvis is in neutral, or is it a little bit even more forward?
Well,
Right.
if the pelvis goes forward, this is where you want that chest to rotate back.
Back. Okay. Got it.
But if the pelvis is forward, again, it's a movement. I can do it. If I had to drop and do burpees or whatever, it's movement that can happen. But I need a high-end synchronization to handle all this. If she's not used to it, you're just right underneath the jaw and you're doing a light lift. See how you get that peacock chest?
Yeah.
And again, I don't mean to put down the Spaniards. I'm a visualization, so that's what I think of. Oh, we go down the road here. You know that the chest versus, yeah, down that way, lady. You know, and so you lift that head, and again, we've got that nice, you know, almost that book's balancing on the head versus this. That's just not as stable on the system. Once she learns stability, it's like Picasso. Picasso could do abstract because he could draw like a pro. He'd already mastered the drawing. If you look at his blue period, the guy could just close his eyes and draw a perfect figure, you know what I mean, in a silhouette. He mastered it. So then he could go on and do abstract. So the same thing with movement. You really want to stabilize or develop all these little finite counterbalances. Oh, and that's something I haven't taught you. One knee up, one knee down. This is walking in the pelvis. So see, I can work this way. But see, that's where I counter. So just like I was doing before, where I push in the iliac, the chest cavity goes the opposing. But when I do that, then I can bring my right knee up as my right hand goes into the pelvis. And then as my left knee goes up, I'm going to bring that pelvis back a little bit and the chest down.
Okay.
And see up. So see, look at the seesaw that's going on here and with the pelvis. But see, now I'm counterbalancing the seesaws. See that pelvis up, so the chest corrects. So now my counterbalance is going horizontally. Before, my counterbalance is going vertically, but see, now I'm working on the horizontal counterbalance.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. This is awesome. Wow.
But that's all walking and crawling. And that's why when people go, but you didn't work on that. Well, yeah, I did. You just didn't see it. Now Frank is even in a much better position where I can go back and entertain that ball again. But see, now I'm more organized, so I can do that with the walking pelvis. See how I have two knees, one knee going up and then the pelvis going in, same properties over onto the ball. And now if he's coming off the ball, then my left knee goes up and I'm bringing that pelvis around to bring him up.
Got it.
And that's everything that people swear by for hippotherapy. And I get it if they want to go on a horse, but she can't. So this is all of those properties going on here just in your lap.
Got it. And then how would we initiate more reaching? Like
Well,
diagonal,
if you want to work on the reaching, that's again goes back to this. Hand underneath, and I can rotate, see how my knee goes back out, counterbalance, and then I can work on that whole reaching with this hand.
Okay.
Once she gets stable here or here, see now this is another thing, hand against the chest, and I can bring my arm up and do that. But I'm still, see, perfect, scooping down on the chest as the arm's going up, because that's again that counterbalance. The chest doesn't stay hard and the arm doesn't go up. That's where people start wrecking their shoulders. A true arm, and you see it much more with the ballerina, that chest will scoop down and that arm will go up.
Got it.
So like with me, see the chest goes down and the arm goes up. I have a counterbalance, right? If I just did this, see, it's just, and that's where people go, God, my shoulder's killing me. Well, yeah, but if my back counters, I can do all of this with my arm. I could paint the house better. I mean, it doesn't have to be just ballerina stuff. But see, I'm countering.
Is there something you can do to initiate the scapula more when the arm is reaching?
Well, yeah, where are we? You know what? That could be like our whole afternoon thing. I can change Frank, I mean, because we only have about 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
I can change Frank and the position around where you can see more what I'm doing from the back, and we can do more of the upper shoulder that way from this position.
Okay.
But anyway, we can still continue with this.
Okay.
But when a child gets tired, that's where you're going to start to maybe see the pelvis gets tired, or that's when you really want to scoop them really into your crevice of your groin. And when they're back here, now you can again go hold them right in between the sexes, right? And you're just going to look for that little tilt. But what I'm doing here, both my knees are up. So now I'm going to drop a knee and bring the pelvis in and bring the knee up, and now I can drop the knee again on the other side and bring it down.
Okay.
Okay? But you got to watch it. You don't want to go too far with the chest, because again that's going to make the head unstable. What I'm looking for is the chest to round back and the pelvis to scoop down.
Got it.
So here, with that, I might go a little side
It's just
sitting.
like the side to side counter, but back.
Right. Now you're learning how to, same thing with you. Once you understand counterbalance, now you got to understand it from every angle.
Yeah.
So again, I'm going to bring Frank in right into my crease, right? And so I have both my knees up. So again, I'm dropping a knee and I drop my hand, but see now the chest comes back up against me.
I see.
So when I bring my knee up and the pelvis goes again, see, and I change my pelvis, but his upper chest cavity rolls, but it's very stable. I'm not looking for this.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. If he was reaching forward, I wanted to do that, then yes, tilting the pelvis and bring it where there's some place for the hand to go, or that's where I can have the object here. Let's see if he'll cooperate. I might have him already propped. So I'm tilting and bringing over here again, and then I have to make sure he's transferring his weight properly. But at that point, if I see the head dip, do you know what I mean? Now this is a recovery.
Got it.
If I'm recovering, I go right back in here, force it, that arch, and then bring them back up into my arms. And that's what we'll cover this afternoon, where I can be here and start working with that whole scapula thing. And also what that does is, again, reaching down.
Yeah.
See, I counter and reach for something versus, and fall over.
So the fact that my legs are in between her, is this too wide? Should I bring her legs closer together?
Right now, you're learning the movement. This is where you'll play with it. You might go where you're doing just 1-1. And again, now I'm snug.
Yes.
So if this knee goes down, do you know what I mean? But it's going down into this leg, into this, So she's still getting intake on her vestibular. But just like you have to learn it first as well, as then she can learn it better. And then here, from this point, I can be right here. Again, I can tilt it around, see knee up into her. I can have my leg up here in support, and I'm actually pressing my knee into her pelvis. So there's lots of way to skin this cat.
But you're not worried about her legs being too wide this way? It's fine?
No, she's gonna, because then you'll do it with a single leg. Then you'll do it maybe where she's on the ball,
Okay.
You could do, I'll tilt Frank back around here again. I could do this whole lesson, you know what I mean, with him actually.
Oh.
This is where his feet get stuck. You know what I mean? Where he's on the ball.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and now you can feel already, second that happens, the difference in her chest.
Wow.
Yeah. But see, now she's going to get that input from the ball. Even Frank sits better on the ball. And you can be here, what's nice about the ball is it stabilizes his legs. Because I have the ball tilted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So his legs are all against it, so I have that whole factor.
Michelle, this is amazing.
And that's why I like different ball sizes. Haha. But I can do so many more different things in a heartbeat, just, to satisfy what my brain's into. But,
right.
I can get out the egg ball right now. I can do all of that. You can't see it as well on Frank, but, the way he's standing, but you'll see it in the other video that I have going on with my camera. And now in this position now, too, because he's more stable, I can then turn around and start working on standing even with him.
I see.
Right? And then go here and have him, and so he's on the ball that way. Now, I couldn't do this maybe with a full-grown male, but I can probably go up to easily 80 to 100 pounds with that. As a matter of fact, this might be what I was looking for with my 7-year-old I've been working with.
So would it be too much to do kind of a figure 8 with the shoulders and the pelvis? Is that overload?
It's only overload. You want to get it where it's synchronized.
Okay.
So right now, again, work on the horizontals, because believe it or not, that's it,
Yeah.
And all of this. It's easier on the ball to see the figure 8s type thing. But again, see how you want that speed and the acceleration versus it being the head. See how the head just doing much more here? Here, see how it's more the pelvis. Head stays stable.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to teach that more to the system.
Okay.
But yeah, eventually, then you want to do all that, but see how Frank's head stays stable?
Yeah.
Doing through that versus this.
Right.
Again, these are valid moves. If he was doing ice skating, he needs to do these things. But to see how the systems, I go for success first. So you just have to learn how to see it.
Okay.
So, and then again, in this position, then he can work on turning on and off the lights. He can do all of that kind of thing.
Michelle, this was amazing.
And this is where Diane comes in, where now she would be doing vision, let's say, at a different level.